Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my beautiful hot messes. My name is Mistress Lavender, and today I'm continuing on reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. I'm on chapter 2, part 2. So I'm starting at page 32 at whatever your problem is. If you don't know where I'm at, click the videos before, silly. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, you ready? Whatever your problems are, the concept is the same. Solve problems, be happy. Unfortunately, for many people, life doesn't feel that simple. That's because they F things up in at least one of two ways. One, denial. Some people deny that their problems exist in the first place. And because they deny reality, they must constantly delude or distract themselves from reality. This may make them feel good in the short term, but it leads to a life of insecurity, neuroticism, and emotional repression. I don't know what neuroticism is, but I'll look it up after. Victim mentality. Some choose to believe that there is nothing they can do to solve their problems, even when in fact they could. Victims seek to blame others for their problems or blame outside circumstances. This may make them feel good in the short term, but it leads to a life of anger, helplessness, and despair. People deny and blame others for their problems for the simple reason that it's easy and feels good. While solving problems, it's hard and often feels bad. Forms of blame and denial gives us a quick high. They are a way to temporarily escape our problems, and that escape can provide us a quick rush that makes us feel better. Highs come in many forms, whether it's a substance like alcohol, the moral righteousness that comes from blaming others, or the thrill of some new risky adventure. Highs are shallow and unproductive ways to go about one's life. Much of the self-help world is predicted on peddling highs to people rather than solving legitimate problems. Many self-help gurus teach you new forms of denial and pump you up with exercises that feel good in the short term, while ignoring the underlying issue. Remember, nobody who is actually happy has to stand in front of a mirror and tell himself that he's happy. Highs also generate addiction. The more you rely on them to feel better on your underlying problems, the more you will seek them out. In this sense, almost anything can be addictive, depending on the motivation behind using it. We all have our chosen methods to numb the pain of our problems, and in moderate doses, there is nothing wrong with this. But the longer we avoid and the longer we numb, the more painful it will be when we finally do confront our issues. Emotions are overrated. Emotions evolved for one specific purpose: to help us live and reproduce a little bit better. That's it. They're feedback mechanisms telling us that something is either likely right or likely wrong with us. Nothing more, nothing less. Much as the pain of touching a hot stove teaches you not to touch it again, the sadness of being alone teaches you to not do the things that made you feel so alone again. Emotions are simply biological signals designed to nudge you in the right direction of beneficial change. Look, I don't mean to make light of your midlife crisis or the fact that your drunk dad stole your bike when you were 8 years old and you still haven't gotten over it, but when it comes down to it, if you feel crappy, it's because your brain is telling you that there's a problem that's unaddressed or unresolved. In other words, negative emotions are a call to action. When you feel them, it's because you're supposed to do something. Positive emotions, on the other hand, are rewards for taking the proper action. When you feel them, life seems simpler, and there is nothing else to do but enjoy it. Then, like everything else, the positive emotion goes away, because more problems inevitably emerge. Emotions are part of the equation of our lives, but not the entire equation. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it is good. Just because something feels bad doesn't mean it is bad. Emotions are merely signposts, suggestions that our neurobiology gives us, not commandments. Therefore, we shouldn't always trust our own emotions. In fact, I believe we should make a habit of questioning them. Many people are taught to repress their emotions for various personal, social, or cultural reasons, particularly negative emotions. Sadly, to deny one negative emotions is to deny many of the feedback mechanisms that help a person solve problems. As a result, many of these repressed individuals struggle to deal with problems throughout their lives. And if they can't solve problems, then they can't be happy. Remember, pain serves a purpose. But then there are those people who over identify with their emotions. Everything is justified for no other reason than they felt it. Oh, I broke your windshield, but I was really mad. I couldn't help it. Or I dropped out of school and moved to Alaska just because it felt right. Decision making based on emotional intuition without the aid of reason is to keep it in line. Pretty much always sucks. You know who bases their entire lives on their emotions? 3-year-old kids and dogs. You know what else 3-year-olds and dogs do? S on the carpet. An obsession and over investment in emotions fail us for the simple reason that emotions never last. Whatever makes us happy today will no longer make us happy tomorrow because our biology always needs something more. A fixation on happiness inevitably amounts to a never-ending pursuit of something else, a new house, a new relationship, another child, another pay raise. And despite all of our sweat and strain, we end up feeling eerily similar to how we started, inadequate. Psychologists sometimes refer to this concept as the hedonic treadmill, hedonic, whatever. The idea that we're always working hard to change our life situation, but we actually never feel very different. This is why our problems are recursive and unavoidable. The person you marry is the person you fight with. The house you buy is the house you repair. Ooh, I like that. The house you buy is the house you repair. The dream job you take is the job you stress over, period. Everything comes with an inherent sacrifice. Whatever makes us feel good will inevitably make us feel bad. What we gain is also what we lose. Ooh. We create our positive experiences. What creates our positive experiences will define our negative experiences. Ooh. This is a difficult pill to swallow. We like the idea that there's some form of ultimate happiness that can be obtained. We like the idea that we can elevate all of our suffering permanently. We like the idea that we can feel fulfilled and satisfied with our lives forever, but we cannot. Choose your struggle. If I ask you, what do you want out of life? And you say something like, I want to be happy and have a great family and a job I like, your response is so common and expected that it doesn't really mean anything. Everybody enjoys what feels good. Everybody wants to live a carefree, happy, and easy life, to fall in love and have amazing sex and relationships, to look perfect and make money and be popular and well respected and admired and a total baller to the point that people part like the Red Sea when they walk into the room. Everybody wants that. It's easy to want that. A more interesting question, a question that most people never consider is, what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Because that seems to be a greater determination of how our lives turn out. For example, most people want to get that corner office and make a boatload of money, but not many people want to suffer through 60-hour work weeks, long commutes, obnoxious paperwork, and arbitrary corporate hierarchies to escape the confines of the infinite cubicle HE double hockey stick. Most people want to have great sex and an awesome relationship, but not everyone is willing to go through the tough conversations, the awkward silences, the hurt feelings, and the emotional psychodrama to get there. And so they settle. They settle and wonder, what if, for years and years, until the question morphs from what if into what else. And then the lawyers go home and the alimony check is in the mail. They say, what for? If not for their lowered standards and expectations 20 years prior, then what for? Because happiness requires struggle. It grows from problems. Joy doesn't just sprout out of the ground like daisies and rainbows. Real, serious, lifelong fulfillment and meaning and meaning have to be earned through the choosing and managing of our struggles, whether you suffer from anxiety or loneliness or obsessive compulsive disorder or a dickhead. Oop, can I say that? Or a blank blank boss who ruins half of your waking hours every day. The solution lies in the acceptance and active engagement of that negative experience, not the avoidance of it, not the salvation from it. People want an amazing physique, but you don't end up with one unless you legitimately appreciate the pain and physical stress that comes with living inside a gym for hour upon hour, unless you love calculating and calibrating the food you eat, planning your life out in a tiny plate-sized portions. People want to start their own businesses, but you don't end up a successful entrepreneur unless you find a way to appreciate the risk, the uncertainty, the repeated failures, the insane hours devoted to something that may earn absolutely nothing. People want a partner, a spouse, but you don't end up attracting someone amazing without appreciating the emotional turbulence that comes with weathering rejections, building the sexual tension that never gets released, and staring blankly at a phone that never rings. It's part of the game of love. You can't win if you don't play. Ooh. What determines your success isn't what you want to enjoy. The relevant question is, what pain do you want to sustain? The path to happiness is a path full of S-heaps and shame. You have to choose something. You can't have a pain-free life. It can't all be roses and unicorns all the time. Pleasure is the easy question, and pretty much all of us have a similar answer. The most interesting question is the pain. What is the pain that you want to sustain? That's the hard questions that matters. The question that will actually get you somewhere. It's the question that can change a perspective, a life. It's what makes me me and you. It's what defines us and separates us and ultimately brings us together. For most of my adolescence and young adulthood, I fascinated about being a musician, a rock star. In particular, any bad A guitar song I heard, I would always close my eyes and envision myself up on stage playing it to the screams of the crowd. People absolutely losing their minds to my sweet finger noodling glory. The fantasy could keep me occupied for hours on end. For me, it was never a question of if I ended up playing in front of screaming crowds, but when. I had it all planned out. I was simply biding my time before I could invest the proper amount of energy and effort into getting out there and making my mark. First, I needed to finish school. Then I needed to make some extra money to buy gear. Then I needed to find enough free time to practice. Then I had to network and plan my first project. Then nothing. Despite my fascination about this for over half of my lifetime, the reality never came to fruition. And it took me a long time and a lot of struggle to finally figure out why I actually didn't want it. I was in love with the result, the image of me on stage, people cheering, me rocking out, pouring my heart into what I was playing, but I wasn't in love with the process. And because of that, I failed at it repeatedly. H-E double hockey stick. I didn't even try hard enough to fail at it. I hardly tried at all. Ooh. The daily derogatory of practice, the logistics of finding a group and rehearsing, the pain of finding gigs and actually getting people to show up and give a S, the broken strings, the blown tube amp, hauling 40 pounds of gear to and from rehearsals with no car. It's a mountain of dream and a mile-high climb to the top. And what it took me a long time to discover is that I didn't like to climb much. I didn't like to climb much. I just like to imagine the summit. Ooh. The common cultural narratives would tell me that I somehow failed myself, that I'm a quitter or a loser, that I just didn't have it, that I gave up on my dream, and that maybe I let myself succumb to the pressures of society. But the truth is far less interesting than any of these explanations. The truth is, I thought I wanted something, but it turns out I didn't. End of story. I wanted the reward and not the struggle. I wanted the result and not the process. I was in love with not the fight, but only the victory. And life doesn't work that way. Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for. People who enjoy the struggles of a gym are the ones who run triathlons and have chiseled abs and can bench press a small house. People who enjoy long work weeks and the politics of the corporate ladder are the ones who fly to the top of it. People who enjoy the stresses and uncertainties of the starving artist lifestyle are ultimately the ones who live it and make it. This is not about willpower or grit. This is not another we're going to figure out that word later, of no pain, no gain. This is the most simple and basic component of life. Our struggles determine our successes. Our problems birth our happiness, along with slightly better, slightly upgraded problems. See, it's a never ending upward spiral. And if you think at any point you're allowed to stop climbing, I'm afraid you're missing the point, because the joy is in the climb itself. Ooh. So that's end of chapter 2. Next episode, we're going to be doing You Are Not Special chapter 3. And if you're wondering, why is she messing up so much? Because I'm reading and things happen. But just know I will get better. But I'm so happy you spent this time with me reading. I hope you got the book yourself so we can read it together. And yeah, I will see you next episode. And remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.